What's going on, YouTube, and welcome back. And today we are back. We are doing something a little bit different today. I wanted to make a video about some of the mobs that we could see added to Minecraft. So I have a couple of ideas and we're gonna take a look at some of those here today. So if you like this type of video, let me know down below, and if I missed any animals, let me know what other type of mob maybe Minecraft could add in the next couple of updates, right? We're seeing so many updates with mobs recently, and it kind of makes me wonder what else could we see, realistically coming to the game in the next few years. And that's where I started to do a little research and kind of what the community seems like they want. And that's where we kind of came up with the concept for today's video. So we're going to start off with the first one, which is kind of interesting because this is an animal that makes a lot of sense for a lot of different reasons. And I mean, obviously the idea of having a whale or a killer whale in the game, it does make a lot of sense. You're adding a lot more of a reason to explore in the ocean, but it also serves as being a little bit more of a danger, which I think is even nicer about that concept. Again, you're making it a little bit more threatening when you go out into the ocean, and I think that would be pretty cool. And it also gives you an opportunity to add maybe a different type of like food, or like a different item you can collect only from killing like a killer whale or an orca. And I think that's the other debate, right? Like if you add a whale, is it a killer whale, is it an orca, what do you call it, right? And then there's also like, do you just make it a blue whale, like a beluga or something, and that way you completely avoid the whale killing concept, right? So there's a lot of different directions that, I mean, they've gone down this road before. They've added dolphins to the game, so it's almost like, it would kind of make sense, like why aren't there whales in the game as well? So I don't know, maybe that's something that you guys would be interested in. And we have a couple of the concepts here which I think are kind of interesting. Now, kind of continuing along with like the animal theming, my other concept here was a crocodile. What if they added a crocodile? I think crocodiles, again, you could easily add that in the new mangroves, which they added last year. And then you also have the regular swamp. There really isn't much to do in the swamp, right? Pretty much the only real usage is you get the witch hut, and they have the like a slime spawning on the overworld. Other than that, I really don't think there's much use for that biome. So if you add crocodiles, it gives another use for that biome, and again, something that's just something to do in that area, like a reason to go in that biome. And I think that's something that's kind of lacking with that biome right now. What would be really cool if they did something like how they have the engine with sea turtles to have like sea turtle eggs. If they could do that with the crocodiles, that would be really, really fascinating. If they were able to come up with something to do with that, I think that would be really, really cool. But let me know what you guys think of that, right? Would crocodiles be something worth adding? And then you get like a crocodile teeth drop, and you can get like, crocodile skin and make armor. Like there's different things that I think could be kind of interesting if they went down that kind of route. So that's my concept there. So now the next one, it's kind of a twofer because they're kind of the same concept, but it's going to be different variations of cows. Now recently they have the climate cows, right? You have the warm temperate, cows. You have the cold weather climate cows, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, but what if we went even further than that? What if we did something like you have cows that are now like a moo bloom, or a moss moo moss, or something like that? I think that would be really, really fascinating. Again, giving the cow another usage, right? We already have the mushroom, and kind of expanding on that concept, and maybe adding them into a biome like a swamp biome. Again, giving you another reason to explore some of these biomes, because some of these older biomes in the game really don't offer much of anything to do. And so you add something like that, it gives you a reason to go to that area, right? It gives you a reason to explore. And I think that would be a real benefit. Um, really, like I said, to the, I think really the swamp biome could be perfect for both the moo moss and the moo bloom. I think that would be really an interesting path for them to go. Um, and then the next one, not really as much of a fun one, but I think it's just a kind of interesting animal that maybe you could ride, and a very fast animal would be deer. I think deer is kind of interesting too because we have all these variants of the some of the mobs. I think the deer more of the concept of, if you're in like a dark forest, only moose will spawn. If you go to like the mountains or the snowy Alps, right? You go to the taiga biome or something, elk will spawn. If you go to a regular forest, there'll be regular like a white-tailed deer. You could have red deer. You could have different variations of deer, which I think would be really interesting. And again, I'm not sure what the real significance to that would be, but I think maybe there's something like if you collect all the different variations of antlers, right, from the different deer, you get some kind of, you know, whisperer pearl to the entire forest or something like that. I don't know. Like you could come up with a reason to do that, but it gives you another thing that you can do. And I think that would be kind of interesting, right? It would give you another thing to kind of when you're exploring out in the world, like a new concept. I think that's what I like more about the deer is the different variations of deer. I think I would be more interested in that more so than their actual function and purpose. And maybe that's why we haven't seen deer in the game is because that's kind of the question, right? Like, what is their actual purpose? Like, why are they in the game, right? You add this thing to the game, and I don't want more fluff in the game. I want more like things that actually mean something. And so they would have to. I would like them to find a way to make deer have a purpose um, in the actual game. But let me know what you guys think of that. What do you think of the idea of maybe adding some type of variations of deer and maybe what types of variations of deer? I think that would be kind of an interesting concept. But I'd love to hear from you guys on that. The next one is a barrel golem. And what's interesting about this, it's basically another variation of an iron or a snow golem. But you can bring one of the newer blocks in the game, the barrels, with you. And it's basically a barrel that is living. Again, it serves an actual purpose, right? It expands your inventory. Um, I think I would like to see it kind of difficult to make. Like it takes up like maybe like 8 of the 9 blocks in a crafting recipe, right? So you need 8 barrels and like a diamond, and you can make a barrel golem. Like make it a little bit more difficult to acquire it, but I think that would be a really interesting mob to explore a little bit more. And maybe again, what I like about this one is it's not a actual real life thing, and I think what's really nice is it gives you an actual like it's going to serve a purpose. It has a function to it, and I think that would be really really nice. What else did I come up with? The other one, which is more surprising why it's not in the game yet, is the vulture. I think the vulture or a hawk in the desert Badlands biome just, it's in the Minecraft zeitgeist of games already. So it's just a matter of implementing it and finding the right time. But I think the developers have been working on that one for a long time. It's just a matter of when. And I think I'm going to end the video with this one because I think this is the one that if you have Dr. Zark's Mo Creatures, right? You have the developer for that game. I love how they added horses. I think that is great. Out of anything else in this list, am probably most interested in them finding a way to bring back the generation of like horses in a complete revamp. And if they do that, which there are rumors that they will, if there was a way that you could breed a Pegasus and you breed all the horses and you eventually, similar to what Mo Creatures used to do, you have to breed the animals together, maybe make the breeding engine a little bit different, right? Like you have to be a certain amount of blocks away. The horses have to be a certain amount of blocks away from other animals, and maybe it's a little bit more complex, but I think that's part of the fun, is the challenge in actually breeding them and not having it. You won't get the exact horse that you want every single time. Maybe there's like, if you breed these rare combination of horses, that there's like a 10% chance you'll get a Pegasus, right? I think that would be a really interesting concept to expand on. And I'll go even further than that. I think what would really drive home the excitement for someone like myself, if there was a way that they could get zebras in the game, I would love to see a zebra, right? Like you could breed the zebras and the horses together, create a Zorse, and then you're able to bring in that type of animal. I think that would be fantastic. And if you bring in zebras, you have that whole thing coming in. I think that would be really cool. And obviously, the idea of a flying horse that you can, ride around your world is something that I will always be on board with. I love that concept. So let me know what you guys think down below. What do you guys think of maybe adding some new different types of animals to the game? And there's other concept I remember even from Mo Creatures. I remember the wyvern, which was a really interesting flying dragon type thing that you could find in the nether. If you want to go down that path, like dragons, like actual dragons, like maybe having a purpose for the ender dragon egg, right? Like you kill the ender dragon and you get the ender dragon baby egg, and kind of like the happy gas, you can like grow it up with water or lava and turn it into an actual pet. There's so many different things I think they could do, but I'd love to know what you guys are thinking. What do you guys think would be an interesting concept for them to add into the game? Because I think all of these different concepts make a lot of sense in their own way, but I'd love to know kind of the direction that you guys would like to see the game take in terms of adding new animals to the game, because there is obviously the worry that if you add too many animals, it almost becomes bloat. So I think they have to be pretty careful with that. But even with that, I think there's enough room for more things in the game, as much as there is that concern of bloat. But if they have a purpose, like Pegasus and wyverns and dragons, I think that kind of lends itself perfectly into the game already. So I don't think it's as much of a concern as adding, you want to talk about bloat. They add like rabbits and birds, and as much as those are kind of cool mobs, they're not really. I would rather have more animals like horses and Pegasus than birds and rabbits, right? If we're being completely honest, right? But I'd love to know what you guys think. As always, thank you so much for watching today's video. I'll catch you guys in the next one.